Hi there, welcome to this video showing 5 tips for using Desmos Activities. Desmos Activities to me has been a game changer in my classroom. I use it, I would say, on a daily basis. It's a great spot for students to explore and think. And I want to demonstrate in this video how easy it is to use these activities. It might seem a little overwhelming, but if you just follow these 5 tips here, it'll get you off to a really good start. Okay, the video will complement this slideshow. So you can either go through the slideshow as we're going along or just watch the video and come back. If you find I go too fast, you can find more information here, or of course you can pause and rewind the video. Okay, so what we're going to do here is actually start right from scratch. So if this is your first time using a Desmos activity, you're going to go to teacher.desmos.com. and you'll get to their homepage. If you want to start looking for activities, then the first place to start is right here. So let's do a quick little search for slope. And you'll see that there are a bunch of activities that may or may not match what you're talking about here. Okay, so you might have heard about marble slides, a really cool one. Although you need kind of equations of the lines to do that. This might be the equations of the lines. You can go around and play with some. I'm going to actually go and click on this one here, sugar, sugar. Okay, and so when I look at this, I can always, when you find an activity, you can do a preview to see what it's about. So it's about sugary things. Which one do you think is the most sugary? Okay, so that's good. I'll just move quickly along here. Oh, it looks like you order them. That's neat. Okay, which one do you think is that? Oh, look at this. Okay, I already like this graph because it's going to talk about steepness and make a connection between the rate of change. The most sugary must be the steepest. Okay, so that's good. So this is the largest serving size is D, but it's not the most sugary. I think A is going to be the steepest one. Okay, and again, I'm sort of skipping through this pretty quickly. Oh, and then look. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Well, I'm not going to ruin the fun for you, but I bet you if we had those graphs, we would see that. And look at that. Yeah. Okay, so there's I really like this activity. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole activity, but it's something I want to use. I'm like, okay, good. Now, the first thing I usually do when I find an activity I like, I want to go off and include it into a collection. But you'll notice that I have not signed in to teacher.desmos.com. This was my first time here. So I would recommend that you click on the sign in button. You can either do it here or when you try and do something, it would go off. But to click on this, I would recommend you sign in with Google because then there'll be a seamless integration with Google Classroom. Okay, so now you'll see that I'm actually in here as myself, and you can add this to a collection. Now you can see I've already added this to a grade 9 collection because I've used this activity before. If you wanted to create a new collection, this is just a way to organize all the stuff you're going to find because you're going to find tons of stuff and it can get a little overwhelming. Okay, but I've got this activity, and if I wanted, I'm ready to go. I can start assigning this to my class. Now, how do I assign it to the class? Well, you can do it 2 ways. One, you can go off and assign as a single section code. So this is how you used to be able to do this. You would just click on this and you would get a code. Now we can make this good for 2 weeks, and there's a code. And then students would go to student.desmos.com and type in this code. All right, and I can demonstrate that. Let's just copy this code here. And I'll go to student.desmos. Oops. There we go. And then you type in this code, and boom, you're ready to go to actually do the activity. Okay, that's how easy it is for the kids to participate in this, and you're off and running. Okay, so assigning to the class is very easy. Now, let's go back here. That's one way, is to use the code. And that used to be the old way to do this. But Google or Desmos has put in a Google Classroom integration, and I would really recommend you do that. So let's assign it to a class. Now you'll notice that I've already got classes set up here, but how would I do that? How would I set up my classes? So you're going to go over here to Manage Classes. And then you can add a new class and it will automatically say, okay, you want to add it. You can either create a brand new class here, or I would recommend you import it from Google Classroom. So here are all the classes that I have for Google Classrooms. Of course, I could assign it to any of these if I wanted. Let's say I'll assign it to this old class, add a class. Okay, and there it is. Boom. It's one of your classes that you can add it to. All right. For posting preferences, my preferences are that I am going to post it as a draft to Google Classroom. So when I post it from Desmos, it's going to go into it as a draft. So then I can decide when the kids actually see it. You could post it immediately to Google Classroom and then they would get a notification right away. You can also post it at student.desmos.com. For teachers who don't have Google Classroom, they might set up their own classroom at student.desmos.com, but I'm not going to post it there. Okay, so I'm only going to post as a draft in Google Classroom and go from there. That's my preference. Okay, so anyway, I've added this. I've got my managed classes. So let's go back a screen, back to the activity. Oh, no, that was sugar, right? Yeah, there it is. Okay, and so now if I wanted to assign it to a class, I just go off and click that class. I'll click this one just so that, because I'm going to be doing some stuff with it, and assign. And then if I went into that class in Google Classroom, so here's the test class, you would see that it pops up right there as a Desmos activity, but it's in draft. Okay. And then if you wanted to edit this, you'll see it's just a quick link. And all you would have to do is assign it to the class, and the kids would just click on this activity and it goes straight to the Desmos bot. So having this integration with Google Classroom is really, really quite handy. Okay. All right. So that's some of the basics of using the activities that are already out there. Now, one other spot where you might find helpful is to do, we're going to do it right here. Actually, no, we'll do a Google search. Okay. So you can also Google search things, just add Desmos activity at the end of this. So if we're going to go slope of a line, Desmos activity. Okay. And then you will get, well, I don't want to say millions, but thousands and thousands of other Desmos activities that are built by teachers out there. And as soon as it's built out there, it's searchable on the web. Okay. So all of these, look at this, tons and tons of different Desmos activities, all with anything that says teacher.desmos.com. Look at this, all about slope. Okay, teacher.desmos.com. Okay, slope stars. It can get really overwhelming. The first one I'm going to sort of look at is this one. I'm curious about this. So again, as soon as I click on it, here I am. I'm right in this. And this wasn't searchable up here. This is just someone that Kaitlin Bookbinder produced. Okay, and then I can go off and try this one and go, okay, oh, look at this. This is neat. Drag point B so that the slope of the line is 2/3. All right, I wonder what happens. Okay, so rise 2, run 3. Oh, wow. That's kind of cool. I like that. Okay, -3/4. Okay, so -3/2. There you go. All right, cool. This is another neat Desmos activity that I found, and it might go off there. And then you can go off and preview and decide if this is one that you want to use with your class. And you can just use this. You can assign it just like we assigned anything else. Assign it to your class, boom, and you can go off and use it. Or you might want to edit it. Now I'm going to show you, actually, before we edit it, I'm going to show you a third spot. Okay, so this third spot is the Desmos Activity Center. So this is a spreadsheet that I've set up of all the Desmos activities that I have vetted. Okay, and I have used, I would say, about 75% of these with students in class. I haven't used every single one of them with students, but I have vetted and previewed all of these. Now, there are tons and tons of Desmos activities here based on on functions, if you're doing linear functions or quadratics, trig. There's stuff for advanced functions, calculus, algebra, miscellaneous, learning, and other people's lists. There's tons and tons of resources here. And again, it can get a little bit overwhelming. The link for this is in our slideshow. You'll see it right here towards the end. You'll get you right to that link. Okay, so but what we're going to do is we're going to go along here and see, well, there's the sugar one that I just found, but we're going to look at this Desmos activity. So this is one that myself and Nick Corley have created. Okay, so Nick sort of started it and I've edited it. And that's what I'm going to show you here. Okay, and you can already see that this is a little more personalized for me. Okay, so again, you can preview this. Which one has a steeper slope? Okay, the blue one. Red is negative. Okay, so, you have a chance. Are there ones that are neither positive or negative? Yep. So I could draw a line like this or like this. These would not be negative or positive, so you can explain that. Here's a little summary of that. And then this is the idea of rise over run. Okay, cool. Good. And then can we actually do this? So this is down 5 over 2. So negative 5 over 2. Okay, that's what I'm predict it is. Oh, I got it right. Yes, good. Okay, and then I've got a bunch of different questions on finding the slope of this. So you can use the slope triangle here. So I've got this set up so that students can actually draw the little slope triangle here to help them. And then, so that would be a rise of 3 and run 2. So 3 over 2, and look at that, good job. Okay. So this is a Desmos activity I created a couple of years ago. I might, if I was doing it today, I might even do some fancier things, but a really cool activity. And I've used this activity a number of times with students. Okay. You can see this, I've actually edited this a couple of times. So I just used it this past year, even though you can see I've used it back in 2020 as well. All right, now, how would I take this? And this is what I want to stress. This is the part that is a game changer for you. Because I know anytime I get something off the web, it's not exactly what I want to do. And I want to edit it so it's my own. If you talk to Drew would say he takes all of my stuff and makes it better. Okay. I don't think he's ever created a Desmos. He's created a Desmos activity by himself. Most of the time he takes other ones and edit it. I do the same thing. I'm about 50-50. I start from scratch and created some, but a lot of times I'm just stealing and borrowing from other people's activities. And it's encouraged for you to do that. So that's why I want to show you this. So we're going to edit this activity, okay? Because this is a little too personalized for Mr. Lee. But if you want to use it, you're going to edit it. So the first thing you're going to do is go over here and go click on this and go copy and edit. And then now you have your own version of this activity at your teacher.desmos site. Okay, and this is yours. So the first thing you might want to do is lose all this because this doesn't make any sense to you. I'm just going to delete this and just call it slope. And I'm going to get rid of that CHSS. Okay, and this is now our new one for us. Okay, now here you are in the Desmos Creator. And again, this can seem very overwhelming, but I want you to think of this as like a slideshow, okay, like a Google Slides or a PowerPoint. And these are all the different slides. You can take all these slides and move it around. Maybe you don't want this thing until the end. So you can move it down, way down here at the end and use it as a summary slide. Okay, and there you go. You've just changed and edited this to make it a little bit more appealing to yourself. You go here and you say, well, I don't want a centurion head on this. So you can either change the picture, you can upload your own image if you want. Images are uploaded right here under media, or you just go like this, click and delete this screen. And now we start here. Okay, and then you're going to go off and go, yep, I like that screen. I like that screen. I don't know if I like this screen, or here are some of the Desmos, the questions. Now, anytime you're going off here and you can't remember what it looks like because you can't this is the building stage, you're going to go off and push preview up here. So we're going to go preview, and now you're like a student and you're seeing what this is. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember this one. This is where it's set up to go rise 2, run 4. Okay, I wonder what 2 over 4 is going to tell me. Oh, look at that. It tells me to simplify. Okay, I'm going to simplify to 1 over 2. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. So that's a neat little learning right there. Okay, but as you go off, you can mess around with this. It doesn't matter. You're not screwing up your thing because you're in the preview. So it doesn't matter what you put on here. You want to draw all over, you type whatever you want here. You're not going to mess up your activity because you're in the preview. So if I go back and exit, you see now this slide hasn't been changed. It's all back to normal, and see now it's back here. Okay, so you're just going back and forth between editing the activity and previewing to see what it looks like for students. So as you're previewing, you go, okay, yeah, that's good. Oh, okay, this is the zero slope. Maybe my class isn't ready to talk about zero slope yet. Okay, and then this is the undefined one. So you might decide that you want to take this out. Oh, and here's the bonus activity about doing it without graphing, which leads to, of course, the slope formula. But you might choose that you don't want these ones in here. Okay, great. So all you would need to do is go delete. Boom, I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to delete this one. I don't want the bonus activity in there yet. I'm going to keep that there. And already you are now personalizing this just for you. And so there were maybe some questions on here that you didn't like, or some slides that you didn't like. Easy to delete, boom, boom, boom. Now you have your own Desmos activity for your students. Okay, so there's that. Now, if you want to get even more creative and like add some questions or change a question. So for example, you don't like this one, it goes up, you want to change it. You can edit it right here, or you can make another question. Say you want more questions here. So I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to make another question. Let's actually try. Yeah, we'll try and duplicate this guy. Okay, so we're going to go here and I'm going to go duplicate. You see now I have 2 questions that are exactly the same, but I'm going to edit the second one. So I'm going to go and edit the graph. So you can see that the behind the scenes stuff isn't really too difficult here. I've got the equation of this line and I've got these 2 reference points. And this one is going 2 over 3. So what if I make it, what if I change this to 2 over 2 and make it go here? Yeah, sure. Let's do this. This is a new question. Okay, it goes through 0, 0, and it goes through 2 over 2. So it's actually just 1x, right? But we'll leave it 2 over 2. It doesn't matter. 1x would just give me the same thing. I need to then change this point, of course, because it's not on the dot there. So this is going to go to 4, 4. And good. I like this. Okay, there's this question. 2 over 2. Good. Done. Okay, so you can see that I have a new question. It's different than the one I just had. There's the old question. Here's the new question. But it's not quite right, because if I put 2 over 2, it's going to say I'm wrong, because there is some background stuff happening to say if it's right or wrong. So where's the background stuff? Well, it has to do with the text. So you see, it doesn't look like there's any text in this screen, but it's actually all hidden in this computation layer. Now, this, again, it looks overwhelming, but I didn't learn how to do all this from scratch. I stole this from someone else's slide. And I learned a little bit about how it works, but I just changed the information that was there to fit my question. So for example, in this one, the slope was 1, right? So if I'm going to change this, I don't want 3 over 2 to get me a good job. I want 1 to be a good job. What if the kid puts 2 over 2? Or what if they put 1 over 1? Yeah, let's put 1 over 1. Okay, so this is a different message I would give to them. I'm going to make sure I keep it in quotation, but 1 over 1 is right. So I'm going to go, good job. This can also be thought of as just 1. Okay, so that could be the feedback I get for that. What if they put 2 over 2? Well, 2 over 2 is right, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say don't forget to reduce. And then, so if the kid puts in 1, they're going to get this message. 1 over 1, they're going to get this message. 2 over 2, they're going to get this message. There might be other things that they put in, but otherwise, they're going to get this message. Try again. Did you get a right triangle to help? Or did you draw a right triangle? So again, I don't have to worry about the computer code. All I'm going to worry about is my inputs, like what are the possible answers and what the outputs are. Okay, and if I wanted more, I could just add another line. But that's all I've done to edit this. And this is a lot more work than, sorry, this isn't really a lot of work, but what we've done now is we should have a question that works. So let's try it here. Okay, so there's rise 2, run 2. So if I go in here and I put in 2, so of course 2 is not right, but 2 over 2, oh, don't forget to reduce. Okay, 1 over 1, good job. This can also be thought of as 1. And if I just put in 1, all of these are working. Okay, and look at that. I just created a brand new question. Okay, so, but you don't have to create new questions. Other slides and activities are a little even easier to do. You would just have to edit the graph and create a brand new question. Okay, and as you learn more, you have a lot more confidence in creating your own questions. This is where I started. I stole other people's graphs, and then I just learned how to create new questions. And this is where we can go with this. Now, one other thing I'm going to show you, remember that other activity? Where's that other one? This guy. Remember, I really liked some of these slides. Remember this one? I really like that. Okay, 2 and 3. You know what? I want to use this slide in this new activity I'm building. You can take slides from other activities and bring them into the one that you're creating. So all you do, so I remember this, I found this one, I like this one. Let me just remind myself, I like these slides, and there's a match me one. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab these slides and copy and paste them in. So all I do here while I'm in the student preview is I'm going to click on this button right here, copy this screen. So I'm going to click on that. So it's been copied. Now I'm going to go back to my activity. Remember this? So maybe towards the end here, before I have that summary, I'm going to go off and click a space. Now I can either add a slide right there, or I don't need to add it. I can just go here. I can go, up here and go Control V, and Control V is the paste. Okay, so this is in our slideshow as well, right here. So find it, find an activity, copy, and Control V into our activity. Okay, so and look, now this same this same question is within our activity. So again, we'll preview, here's that last question, and then look at that. It's exactly what got pasted over, 2, 3, it works. Okay, and if I wanted to bring over a couple of them, so there's this one, let's copy another one and go over here and paste, and then let's bring over that card sort one. Okay, so copy, and then go to our activity and paste. And look at that. This looks really complicated, but again, when we preview, it's exactly the activity that we have set up here. So which ones are the slope of 2? Okay, this one looks like -3 over 5. That looks like that. Okay, and then you can start moving and collecting. This is this activity, but look at that. This looks like a lot of work, but it was I didn't do any of this. I just copied it from someone else's and brought it into my own. Okay, and here you can learn how to create your own card sorts and do an answer key, which ones match up and so forth. Okay, so these are all things you can learn as you're coming along, but I don't really need that. I've got a pretty cool activity now, and you can go off right from the start and preview and go do the activity yourself. Does it actually do what you want it to do? Try all the answers, test them out. There's that question that we did, remember? So this one's slope is 1, good job. Okay. And here are the new activities that we copied over. So -3 over 4, yep, that's working. Here's the card sort, okay, good. And then here's that summary that we decided to move at the end. okay? Or maybe we don't want that, we delete it. But look how quickly and easy it was for us to create our own activity just from borrowing slides from someone else's, okay? When we are done and ready, we're now then going to go publish. Now, if you're not ready to publish, you can save a draft and come back, and if you're working on it now, you can work on it later. But I'm going to go straight and publish, and boom, here is your own activity. It would say like this: if the original person was Nick's, it would edit it by Chris, but of course your name would be on there as well as one who's edited this. And you have your own activity, which you can now assign to your class, and it's ready to go. Okay. Now, how do we use this with the kids? So that you've learned how to find activities, you've learned how to edit and massage them to make them your own. Now, what happens when you actually do it with the kids? So this is, the kids are off, they can do this activity. So let's actually go and let's be a kid in this activity. So I'm going to go, and you can see I'm doing this, and I don't know if that was right. Was that right? Yeah, blue's steeper, good. Okay, red's negative, okay. You know, I'm thinking now that this, because I took out the horizontal and vertical, I might want to go back and delete this and delete this slide, and that's fine. Very easy to do. You can go back and edit it. Actually, I'll show you how to do that. So if I'm right here, this is the activity. If I wanted to edit this, just go back into edit, and I'm going to get rid of that slide. Delete that slide, publish. Now, you'll notice that I've already assigned this, and it's the old version in that. Okay, so I would want to reassign the new version to test class. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to delete this one and unassign it. It'll unassign it. Okay, so this is good that I noticed this, because these are some little things that you'll come across. So let's go to test class again. Okay, so it's been assigned in our class. If I refresh this, it'll probably come up with a new link. Yeah, see, there's the old one. I'm just going to delete. And here is the new assignment, which I'll go in and do. Okay, so let's just get rid of that old one. So here I am in the new assignment, and red, and then it skipped that slide. It's just going right into slope and rise over run. Okay, and it looks like this is all the stuff that we have. So let's just, we'll do this one question. Remember this one, this is the one that we created. Okay, good. And let's go over and do one of these ones that we copied in. So -3/4, boom. Okay, so there I am doing the activity as a student, but let's go back to our activity as a teacher. Okay, so here we are in our activity that we just did. Let's view the dashboard. Okay, so you can see these are the students that are in that test class. These are actually some of the teachers in my department, and my wife and my son that I use quite a bit to do this. So this teacher dashboard sort of shows you all of the different, where everyone is on the activity. So you see, I'm in there right now, and I did the first two, but it looks like I skipped a few, and then I did these two. And you get a really good idea of where everyone is in this activity. Okay, you can go off and click on any of these and see what the student did in that activity. Oh, here's the one that I did. When you're going off and you want to look at this student, you can also give feedback. So this little speech bubble here is the feedback thing. So if you click on that, you can tell a student, give the student a feedback. So right here, you can just say, good job. Okay. But as I was going back on this one, it looks like he's stuck. Now, anything I do here, the student's not going to see. This is just for your own reference. But you might go off and let's actually pretend we're the student. Okay, so I'm going back to the student, and let's say they do up 3/2, and they're not getting the right answer. Okay, I'll go back as the teacher again, and I'll look at what the student's done, and I'll see, oh, wait a second. Actually, let's just go. Here we go. Wait, let's look at here. I can see that I'm on this slide. So there it is. Okay. So I can see that the student has gone a 2/3, but they've gone 3/2. So I might give the feedback here, watch your rise and run parts. Okay. So this, I'm giving feedback to the student, Chris Lee. So let's go back and see what the student would see. So the student would get this little symbol. Oh, look, there's feedback, and it pops up at the top of the page, and there's 2 feedbacks. Okay, so right here, they got the good job feedback on that one, but on this one, it says rise and run parts. Oh, right, I've got them mixed up. Okay, so and then I can go 2/3 and get this. Now, right now, Desmos doesn't have a way for the student to communicate back. Now, there's lots of ways that you could get the student to communicate back, especially if there's a text thing where they could type in there. I think I assume it's coming where there's going to be a 2-way communication, but right now that it's just feedback from the teacher that the student sees. Okay, so this is the feedback part of the graph. All right, so let's go back. Here we are back in the teacher dashboard, and we're able to give feedback. If you wanted to see what everyone's doing on this one thing, you would see all the students' work here. If we were looking here, I could see, again, either everybody's answer or overlay. This will show all the students' answers on one graph. That's a really neat one for different stuff. Or I can click again on a student and pick a student and look at their work. Right now I'm in Chris Lee's, of course, because that's the only student. Okay, but I spend a lot of my time on the summary page. Now, a couple other things that I want to point out is up here. When you're doing stuff as a whole class and you're maybe talking about the activity, you might want to anonymize the students. So any of the students who have signed in, these are people in that Google Classroom that haven't signed in yet. But anyone who's signed in will get a made-up it's a real mathematician's name. Now, if I wanted to talk and say, hey, look at, everybody look here. This student here, Grace, actually, when the first time they had this, and I gave them the feedback of their rise and run might be backwards, and then they learned to go and do that. So they did 3/2. So this is a great teaching moment that I would want to share with the entire staff or class, but I wouldn't want to embarrass the student for making a small mistake. All right, so this anonymized mode is really handy. Okay, so that's there. So you can have that on or off. You can push pause, which is one of the coolest experience in a classroom. Usually when I push pause, I get a big oh, because they're in the middle of the activity. So when I push pause, the whole activity pauses. Let's go back and see the student. You see how the student is paused and they can't go any further. Okay, and this is a really great feature because you might want to get the entire class's attention to demonstrate something. Now, when the activity is paused, you can still go off and do all the stuff that we were talking about. You can show a slide and say, look at this, and you can edit it here and so forth. The teacher can keep doing stuff, but the student, on the student side, it's paused. Okay, so there's another great activity part. Another cool thing that's just came out is you might really like this activity, but for whatever reason, maybe there are a few of these questions that you want to keep in the activity, but for this class, you don't want them to do that slide. So you would go here and you would click on this button and you could go hide the screen. Okay, so now, even though it's part of the activity, this is a way of getting it so the kids will actually not do that slide. So if I went back to the student again, you could see it goes from slide, I'll just get rid of this. It goes from slide 5, let's see, what was it, 5, and then it would have been how about, but then it goes to slide 6. So yeah, how do we find the slope? And then how about this one? And then it skips over that one and goes to this. Okay, so that's one thing way you can sort of decide which slides the students do is you can hide some. And again, it's just clicking on one of these and going hide, okay, or hide, and then of course you can unhide them. So that's one little neat little feature. The other is the pacing button here. So you might want the kids to do, say, the first few slides, but you want them to kind of stop there. And then you might summarize something. So if you click on the pacing, you can choose where to start. And so if you want to skip a few, but I'm going to start here, and let's say we'll stop right here. Okay, and you can restrict. And so now for the students, they can only go to slide 7. So again, I'm here, okay, and I'm the student here, and look, I can't go any further because it only went to slide 6. Was it slide 6? Is that what I? Yeah, I might just have to refresh this. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so you can see I can only go to slide 7, and I can't go to slide 8. All right, so this is a great way to manage the class, because again, you might want to talk about this slide when they get to it. So you would maybe watch the class going along and seeing, again, the summary. You'd see, okay, the kids are getting, most of them are done here. So you might pause the activity and really talk about this slide and say, hey class, look at this. We're gonna have to type our fractions like this. Okay, are you ready? Okay, good. Now, if you want to add the pacing, you can just go and add a slide, and it will open up the slide for the kids. So you can see, oh yeah, the activity's paused. So I'm going to unpause this. Okay, and now if I go back as the student, I can actually now go to slide 8 and 9 and 10, but I can't go any further. Okay, and if you're done with this, you want to stop, then you can. You can do your pacing from anywhere. You can say, oh, I'm going to start, maybe I'm going to skip a few and go to here, restricted from 6 to 10. Okay, or if you wanted to go even further, but I want to hide this activity, or maybe let's hide that, and go, okay, I'm going to go all the way to 16 to 15. Okay, and then the students would go all the way on here. They'd skip that slide but get to 15. Okay, and this is all using the pacing feature. And then when you're done, you can stop pacing and come back to the summary. Okay, so these are all just parts of the tips that I think are helpful. Let's just make sure I've hit all the points in the slideshow. So present. All right, so I encourage you to sign in with Google so that you can make that integration with Google Classroom. Copy and edit, I think, is the biggest thing. So we taught you how to grab an activity, copy and edit to make it your own. You can modify the slides by dragging them, renaming the title, adding slides, deleting or duplicating slides. Those are all stuff I demonstrated. Copy and paste from another activity. So when you find an activity, click on the student preview, you find a slide you like, you're going to click on this icon and Control V into your activity. Assigning with Google Classroom. So you're going to sign in at teacher.com, manage your classes, add a new class, and then import from Google Classroom. Here are those preferences that I talked about. And then when you go to assign, you're going to assign to your class, and then it'll appear as a draft in Google Classroom if you choose these preferences. If you're going to post immediately, it'll go straight into Google Classroom and the kids can see it right away. And I just finished looking about the teacher dashboard. We talked about pacing. We talked about hiding slides. We talked about pausing, and you can see the progress of students. Now, of course, Desmos has some other spots, more information, so you can click on learn.desmos, this link here, and see even more about the teacher dashboard. Here's about feedback that I demonstrated. Again, there's more information here if you're interested in about feedback. And then where to find activities. Okay, so teacher.desmos.com is a good spot to go, but these are only ones written and approved by Desmos. You could do a Google search by picking your topic and adding Desmos activity at the end. And then, of course, my Desmos activity site for all the ones that I've been using. So hopefully you find this helpful. Please don't be afraid to reach out to me by my email, or you can follow me on Twitter. Often I post a lot of Desmos activities on Twitter for people to share. That's actually where I find most of my activities, is on Twitter. I follow a lot of people who like to post their activities. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and hope that you found this and the accompanying slideshow helpful. Good luck with Desmos, and like I said, feel free to reach out to me. I really want to make sure that you have a positive experience with Desmos in your classroom. Take care.